Hey guys, let me know what you think by liking and commenting, and it really helps me and this channel out when you subscribe, so please click that button. Thanks a bunch.
Hey everyone. Well, for those of you who are uninitiated, I actually do these grab bags because I get a lot of trains in myself. Usually pick up onesie, twosie. Sometimes people mail them to me. They thought, hey, we know you're really into these trains and we know you'll love them and take care of them and get them running again. So I have to go through trains like this and see if they run anyway. But what I didn't realize for the longest time is that other people actually like watching me do this and they like seeing the different locomotives, etc., that are out there. So I've started filming me doing this now, and I hope you continue to enjoy it for us. So I appreciate you watching, and here we go.
All right, everyone. Today's episode is brought to you by Super Smooth Hobby Lubricants. Super Smooth Hobby Lubricants are 100% synthetic, and they come in medium oil versions, light oil, and PTFE or Teflon grease in this handy tube. These are very recent and modern formulations. The company that actually manufactures the oil and grease for Super Smooth is a very, very well-known company, and Super Smooth worked with their chemists to make sure that these would fulfill the needs of modern hobbyists. These formulas are specifically designed not to gum up, and they're designed also not to attract any kind of grease or dirt or dust. So remember Super Smooth. It's slicker than smooth.
All right, today's first up is this Fairbanks-Morse sea liner, and I love Fairbanks-Morse. I just love their design. Obviously, they look slightly quirky and different, and I wish they would have kept going. This one in particular is interesting because I had never heard of this particular road before. Thought it was kind of a made-up one, and I'm like, wow, what a cool color scheme, Atlantic and East Carolina, but I didn't think it was real. Then lo and behold, I looked, and actually it's a pretty long-running railroad for what it's worth. They had this scheme and everything. I don't know if they had sea liners, but it was a real thing. And I have a fair number of these sea liners. I think they were originally made by River Rossi for AHM, but then Mahano took them over. Can't quite figure out that history, but they've been around for a long time. And these things, for the most part, still run. This one's been run a nominal amount. I don't see a lot of grooving here, but I don't think it was stored exactly in a particularly dry environment. Well, it doesn't look too bad. So if we clean the wheels off and plop this thing down on the track here, not sure what we're going to get, but we're going to get nothing out of it. Not surprising. This thing's probably been in storage for quite a while, and goodness knows it probably just hasn't been run. So let's rock it back and forth a little bit and see if I can just get some power into it and get the motor to break loose from its long slumber stiction. Just don't know if that's going to happen. Let's go ahead and pop the shell real quick. These are easy. They're just lift and there we go. Lift and pull, or let the... So, you know what? It's really clean in here. It's very clean in here. So this shouldn't be too bad. Let's pull the weight. And looks like the commutator isn't horrible, but it could use a little bit of cleaning. So let's just clean some of that off. There we go. Clean, clean, clean. We'll just clean the commutator off. You have to be a little bit careful because these brushes are not in there. They're supposed to be spring-loaded because you want them to ride over the surface, but these ones are not particularly well planted. There's some pretty weak metal holding these on, but that's fine. We will get some light Super Smooth in here, and again, if you haven't used Super Smooth, you really ought to. It's specifically made by model railroaders. You can use it for all kinds of models, but it was made for model railroaders by model railroaders. And so I'm happy to have them on board as a sponsor. You can use the links below. And if you use the code I love Super Smooth, I'm pretty sure you get 10% off if you order it from my store. So, all right, let's see. Now the light isn't lighting up, but it's old. Well, there it goes. There we go. That's all it needed, was to be lubricated a little bit and to just break it free. I'm sure cleaning off the commutator helped. There we go. Wonderful. Not bad. The light bulb's not working, but I'm not sure if it's because the light bulb's dead or it's just not getting good contact, but it's sort of moot. Let's spin this around a little bit. Still a little hesitant. It's a little bit scratchy. And what I might have to do here is I might have to end up pulling the retaining plate off of the bottom and just lubricating those gears, because there's no great way to get in there. We have to be a little bit careful. I don't want to get this all over the commutator and make a big mess, but I want to go ahead and put a little bit in there, particularly this light oil, because it'll seep in there better. Normally, for most oiling purposes, you want to use medium oil because it'll stay on there better, especially for high RPM parts, but that's okay. I think we'll be okay. So we'll put this top back on, and I still can't get over this paint job. This livery is actually kind of cool. Never seen it before. It's nice and bright. You ought to see it coming from a long ways away, that's for sure. We'll get that on there and see how this goes again. All right, let's try it again. Okay, not bad at all. So I think we can do a little bit better, especially, that's right, I forgot to get this back on there. Plop that back on there. And I've actually converted some of these to Walthers / Lifelike proto chassis, but that's actually not as simple as you might think. So I'll show you how to do that in another video. It's the way I did it. It's kind of stupid, but I think it worked, quite frankly. So plop that down on here. Okay, not great, but not horrible, right? So I think we're in the right direction. I'm going to go ahead and take off this retaining plate, this base plate here. Let me go ahead and clean these wheels, especially when you get so little pickup to work with. It's probably a good idea to get them clean. But this obviously hasn't been run very much at all. It's just, some moisture has gotten to these wheels. So there's really nothing here. But let's go ahead and take off this base plate and lubricate the gears. That'll help. And if anyone hasn't worked with these, there's one painful element to these, and that's the fact that they use you can see the little hex nut sitting on my workbench, and trying to get that thing back in is a right royal pain. So actually I try to replace that with a machine screw just so I don't have to mess with it at all. So go ahead and get this all lubricated with the super smooth Teflon grease, and I think we'll be fine. So that'll help a little bit. There is a really light coating of oil in there, but I don't think it can get any worse. So let's go ahead and put this back together. And because I do so much work on this track, there's a lot of oil and grease on it, and so it's a little bit dirty. So I think this is running pretty well, and if I put it on a good track, some decently clean track with a controller that has more amperage, I think it'll work just fine. So there you go. Pretty interesting. I learned something new. I learned something new about this line, which I didn't realize exists, and I went up and looked some more of its locomotives up, and pretty cool paint scheme. I don't know if they have any specially painted passenger cars. They probably don't. But there you go. Another wonderful and glorious sea liner. All right, let's take a look at another AHM / Mahano mashup. And this is actually one of my favorite locomotives, the ALCO RS3. And this is yet another railroad I didn't know anything about. Didn't know anything about this New Jersey line. So again, I'm learning a lot of cool stuff, and that's one of the things I really love about model railroading. These RS3s are pretty ubiquitous. I've seen a lot of them. I haven't DCC'd any yet, and the reason why is the one I want to DCC will probably be Burlington Northern. So right now I've got a lot of these and they're kind of passing through, but this is a good DCC candidate. Shouldn't be anything wrong with that. Take a look at the underside. Looks like it really hasn't been used much, if at all, so let's plop it on the track and see what we get. Alrighty, maybe some storage stiction. That's about it. There's really not a lot wrong with it. And also, okay, let's see. I gotta clean these off. There's no doubt about it. These are pretty gunky. Looks like the traction tires are intact, but my guess is they might be solid plastic by now. So, not bad. Not super bad. Let's scrub dub a bit. Scrub. Get these cleaned off, and I think we'll get a lot better reaction out of it. So it looks like it's been used, and to me, it looks like it's been used on a track that has a lot of plastic wheels. And what happens is the oils and grease on the track wear down plastic wheels. So, and what happens is that gets picked back up onto metal wheels, and this is what you get, this kind of filmy, gunky layer of black. It's almost always the case. Now, yes, they'll still get kind of carbonized and gunky even without it, but if you run a lot of plastic wheels, this is what you'll get. So I like switching all mine out to metal. Roll-Tru is my wheel of choice. They're inexpensive and they work really well. So this, if you want to see, this is what happens when you run plastic wheels a lot. And a lot of people eschew those. And if you're like me, you immediately change them out so that you don't have this happen to your metal wheels. But I think we're okay. From what I can tell, there's just some age-related stiction here. And I think we're okay pretty much. And what I'm doing now is I'm just running it a little bit, and that'll turn the wheels so I can get to the next side because this is the geared set. So obviously I don't want to force these around. So if I run it a little bit and just pick it up, it'll probably be on a different part of the wheel and I can clean that off. So that's all I'm doing. Works pretty well. We'll just scrub dubs, get this all off of here. I think we'll be in good shape. Okay, let me go ahead and put it up on rollers, and that way we can, I can run some of the, I guess, settlement stiction out of it and get everything working a little bit better. So we'll plop this down, and I think this thing will run pretty well as soon as I do that. So here we go. You can watch me be all uncoordinated while I try to look through the camera and do this at the same time. Get it up there. And I think we'll be good to go. Okay, there you go. Again, I learned about another new railroad with this one, so can't complain about that. And like I said, I really love the styling of the RS3. It's probably my favorite switcher. I just like the way it looks, like the way everything's rounded off. It just looks good to me, so I think we are good with this one, and I'll figure out what to do with it later. I got to learn more about this railroad and figure out its place on my layout, but I like the way it looks, so I'm glad it's around. All right, let's go to the next one. Alrighty, Daddy, we got a Tyco. Yes, indeed, a Tyco Bicentennial EMD, I think is F9A, right? Looks like it's in pretty nice shape. Let's see. It's got to actually, the brass wheels look pretty good. Not too bad. Doesn't look like it's been run a whole lot for what it's worth. So I think we may have a good runner. And a lot of times these decals in the center here are really scratched off or peeled off. This one is actually pretty intact, so I feel pretty lucky to find one that looks this good, quite frankly. A little bit of display grime, maybe, but it's certainly nothing you can't cope with. Let's see if we can just sort of take the power truck out of here. There we go. And it's not power torque, thank goodness. So I think these ones work pretty well. It actually looks really clean. Don't know if this was really run or not. All right, let's go ahead and get it back in there and put it on the track and see how it works. I mean, how do you like that? It pretty much just runs. There's really nothing I think I'm going to have to do to this. I guess I might clean the wheels a little bit. Let's put it up on rollers and just sort of let it run in a little bit. But I think pretty much this one's perfect. There's just nothing I have to do. So I think it's going to be one of the fastest ones on this video. A Tyco that runs after sitting for goodness knows how long. So you can't beat that, right? Okay, so as long as we're doing the Bicentennial thing, let's take a look at this. I think it's a U33B. It's interesting. It looks like somebody put the light in back where they put the actual light pipe in backwards. It's really bizarre. I certainly like U-boats. I think a lot of people like U-boats. It's not to like. It's such a classic shape. This one's from Seaboard Coastline. It is powered. Yeah, no doubt about it. The trucks are certainly, the wheels don't spin, so look at this. Just someone put in the light pipes backwards. It's so bizarre. Well, anyhow, looks like all the railings are intact. Can't beat that. It's pretty nice looking. They did a nice job on the paint job. Can't, just nothing wrong with that. So this is perfect. Yeah, even the horn is... actually doesn't look like it's been run a lot. It's always hard to tell that with some of these older Athearn wheels. They're just made out of some goofy pot metal. I don't know what they're made out of. They look terrible, but let's go ahead and put it on track and see what we can see. Okay, so it wants to run, and if I help it, it will kind of run, but it's certainly not running well, and everything sounds a little bit cloggy in there, so let's take this. Oh, so it is obviously in at least a somewhat decently humid environment. So you can see all the rust, but let's go ahead and lubricate these older motors are not very good, and I will put out a video on it, but they're not good for DCCing. You can, but it's not the greatest thing to do in the world. Causes a lot of problems. If possible, replace this motor. But I'm not going to worry about it right now. There's no flywheels on here either. It's interesting. So we'll go ahead and put some light oil in there to penetrate these bearings, get them lubed up a little bit better, and let's see if we can get this thing to awaken from its slumber. So, Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start cleaning things here. So I'm going to clean the wheels, even though it's going to be a little bit hard for me to detect whether the wheels are truly clean or not. I'm going to go ahead and do that anyway. And then what I'll do is I'll probably start cleaning off all that rust from the contact plate up there. And hopefully that'll help. And, I don't know where it's losing electricity, it's where it's losing its contact, but if I clean a lot of this one way or another, I think all that's going to go away. So let's pop the conductivity plate off of this and let's start cleaning things. And I think we'll be in better shape if we do that. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start spinning things here just to loosen everything up. I'm assuming this has been sitting for a while and it's been sitting in a rather humid environment. We'll go ahead and see if I can get this contact a little bit better, see if that makes a difference. I think probably it's just a lot of little things that add up into a locomotive that's a little bit more reluctant to work than I'd like. So I think we're in good shape, though, for what it's worth. I can feel this thing wanting to work, and when it comes to Athearn, usually when something wants to work, it eventually will. So let's kind of tweak things around a little bit here until I know I'm making pretty good contact. So let's do that and actually get this light back in too. And when you're trying to break in or particularly re-break in a locomotive after it's been sitting, rollers are one of your best bet here. You can just really get things running and working. And I think they generally help make electrical contact a little bit better since they're pretty high quality and I know I'm going to get good continuity. So let's just kind of work this a little bit until we can just get it running a little bit better. So hopefully this will be good. Just kind of looks like it doesn't want to make super good contact right now. So maybe cleaning the wheels again will help, or maybe just letting it run a little bit, and that may help our continuity errors too. Okay, so there you go. Just need to be run in a little bit, and finally everything's starting to make good electrical contact after I cleaned it and ran it in. So I think this thing's working pretty well. Most Athearns will come around if you just sort of give them some love. It won't make them any quieter usually, unfortunately, but they'll at least come around to what you're trying to do to them. So no problem. Just pop the shell back on here. Make this sort of a good looking, more streamlined beast again. There we go, get that on there. And I think we will have a pretty nice model if we, let's see, it's a little bit, there it goes. All right, okie dokie. So pop it also on rollers and make sure it's still running nice and clean like it was. Let's see, make sure here, I think kind of get these aligned a little bit better, and I think we'll be in good shape. So there we go. There you have it. It is the Seaboard Coastline Bicentennial U-boat. Looks pretty nice. I like it. I sort of made the decision not to go down the Bicentennial rabbit hole but keep ending up with these things so it looks like no matter what I want, eventually the universe is playing out like it wants to, which, as most of you know who are over about 28 years old, that's usually Okay, there you go. If any of these are something that you like or you've had or you owned or you do own, I'd love to hear about it. I'd love to hear your stories about these. Please leave a comment. I always try to get back eventually, even though it may take me a little while. I will try to get back to you in the comments. It really helps me out when you do things like and subscribe, and I hope you did really like these enough to both like and subscribe. So until later, happy model railroading. I'll talk to you soon. Take care. Stay safe. See you.